Hi, I'm Nick Rice and I'm going to walk through this little Begriddled puzzle that's going to go into my second book, Begriddled Logic. Just search for Begriddled on Amazon and you'll find this once it's there, and my first one too. If you want to solve it yourself, just pause after I've been through the how Begriddled puzzles works bit, or maybe let it go just a little bit further where I will explain the couple of rules for doing the logic bit. So let's start with how Begriddled puzzles work in general. So what we've got is basically a grid of characters. So here we've got all 10 digits and there's a couple of dots, and there's a circular sequence, and the sequence has 10 characters. Here there's 0 all the way through to 9 and back to 0 again, but they could be anything. So there are 3 rules. The first one is really rule 0, which is, I call it rule 0 because there's nothing to it really, it's just that dots are dots. So I'll fill those in there. Then the first proper rule is that except for dots, which you never do anything with except put them in as dots, you join adjacent characters, vertically and horizontally adjacent characters, numbers in this case, that are the same. So I'll fill all these in. And then the second rule is you take the characters in the sequence, so here we've got 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 all the way around, and you join adjacent characters in any direction that are next to each other in that sequence. So I'll fill these in. So we've got 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 2, 1 to 0, 1 to 0, and all that. I'll skip forward here and then you can pause it to just see how that works. It's pretty simple really. Okay, let's get back to this little puzzle. The 2 rules here are that there's exactly one diagonal segment. So if we look at the 2 and the 1 there, there's 1 and there's another 1 going to the 2. So there's 2 diagonal segments, so 1 can't join to 2 because that would mean that it cannot be one diagonal segment. And the other one is that the segments join to form a single shape. A segment is just 2 numbers, in this case characters, that are joined together. So there's a single shape, but if I put a break in it, then those are 2 shapes. So basically everything has to join up. So let's start to solve this, and we'll look at diagonals. Might as well start at the top, looking at diagonals going to 0. Okay, there's a couple there going from 0 to 1, so we can cross that out. That can't be. Also 0 to 2 and 0 to 7. There's just the one diagonal. Yeah, there's just one diagonal going to 0 from 0 to 7. So I'll put a dot in for that because that could be the single diagonal segment that we're looking for. Then we've got 0 to 9, and there's a couple of those there. The other ones, I don't think there's anything else. I find it easier to have a row for each number, even though it means that I'm marking every pair twice, but I just find it easier to see later on, so I'll copy those marks down that column there as well. And now let's have a look at the ones. So 1 can't join to 2 because there's a couple, and more than a couple actually, of diagonals there. Then we've got 3. I think there's just 1, 4. There's 1. I'll put dots in for those. Don't see any 5s. There's 1, 6, I think. There's more than 1, 7, so that's a cross. Diagonal between 1 and 7. And 1, 8 and 1, 9. So for the ones, every other number either has more than one diagonal, so that can't be, they can't be together, those numbers can't be together in the sequence, or there is just one number, the 5, where there's no diagonal there at all, and the others, the 3, 4, 6, 8 and 9, where there's one diagonal. So we can immediately work out that there must be a connection between the 1 and the 5, because otherwise we would have two diagonals, because every number is joins to two other numbers. Now, because we now know as well that we've got a diagonal 1 to something, and there is only one diagonal, we can cross out the 0 to 7, because that would be a second diagonal. Okay, I'm going to jump forward. I'll fill in the rest of this worksheet thing. Okay, pause to see that I've got that right if you want to. And let's fill in what we can to start with here. So the 1s, the 1 to 5, and the pair of 2s, pair of 8s. So let's see if we can rule out any of these other possible 1 diagonals. And the first thing that jumps out to me is the 3 and the 1 in the top left-hand corner there. If the 1 joins to the 3, we already know it joins to the 5, then that little segment has to end up joining to the stuff on the right. It can't go via the 1, so it has to be the 3 joining to something. But if we look at what we've ruled out already, the 3 can't join to the 4 or the 9, so therefore the 1 cannot join to the 3. I don't think I can rule out the 1 going to the 4 very easily, but if we look at this 1 to 9 down here, the 1 can't join to anything else, and the only way that this segment can join to anything is if the 9 goes to the 7. But now there's no number in this little blue shape here that will join to anything else. So that means that the 1 can't join to the 9. We already know that the 5 joins to the 1 on one side, so this 6 and 5 up on the right here, that looks interesting because the only possible connections are for that little segment would be the 6 going to the 2 or to the 9. And if we look at our worksheet, both those have already been ruled out. So the 5 cannot join to the 6, so we can cross that out. And now jumping down to the bottom of our worksheet, we can see that 9 must join to 2 of 2, 5 and 7. Now if the 9 joins to the 7, then the only way this little blue shape here can join to anything is if the 9 joins to the 5, because everything else has been eliminated there. But if the 9 doesn't join to the 7, then because the 9 joins to 2 of 2, 5 and 7, if it doesn't join to the 7, it joins to 2 and 5. So in both cases it joins to 5, so the 9 is bound to join to the 5. So we'll put a blue dot in for that. And fill in what we can on the puzzle. So now we know that the 5 joins to the 1 and the 9. We know it can't join to the 0 or 4, so we can cross those out as well. So let's have a look at this 9 and 7 again down the bottom. Now, taking into account all the possible connections that we've ruled out, we can see that the only way that that L shape there can join to anything on the right is if the 1 joins to the 4, because we can't join the 1 to the 7, and it's the only possibility. The 1 would have to join. That's if the 9 joins to the 7. If the 9 joins to the 2, then basically we've got the same thing. We can't get that shape on the left, the 3-segment shape on the left. We can't get that to join to anything on the right except via the 4. So in both cases, the 1 joins to the 4, so the 1 must join to the 4, and that's our diagonal. And of course we can rule out everything else now on that connects with the 1, because we've got both the numbers that it joins to. I think we could have seen that that was the only way to get the bit on the left joining up to anything else without those 2 steps, but that's how I thought it through, so, you know. So we still haven't decided on whether the 9 joins to the 2 or the 7. But if the 9 joined to the 7, you can see that that these 2 2s on the right, there's no way that they can join to the big shape on the left. Yeah, you can get to the 8s below that, but that's all. So the 9 can't join to the 7, and so the 9 has to join to the 2. From the worksheet we can see that the 8 must connect to 2 of 0, 2 or 4. But looking at this pair of 8s here, the only way that it can join to anything to get up to those 2s is if the 8 joins to the 2. So we can put that in. And there we can see, looking at the 7 row, the 7 has to join to the 3 and the 6. That's all that's there. So although that doesn't give us any new lines, because there's no 7 next to a 3 or a 6, it must be part of the circular sequence. Then looking at the 3 row, we can see that apart from the fact that the 3 joins to the 7, it must join to either the 0 or the 6. But we've already got this 3, 7, 6. So if the 3 is joined to the 7, the 6 is the other side of it. It can't join to the 6. So the 3 must join to the 0. Okay, so we've got nearly all the connections now. So let's write down what we've actually got. So we got the 1 joining to the 5, joining to the 9, to the 2, and the 2 goes to the 8, and we don't yet know what the 8 joins to. And then the 1 back there joins to a 4, but we don't know what the 4 joins to. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, all 10 numbers here in 2 parts of the sequence. And all we need to do now is to work out how they join together. So the 6 there can join to the 4 or to the 8. If we look at our worksheet, we can see that we've already eliminated the 8 as a possibility. So the 6 has to join to the 4. And at the end, the 0 joins back to the 8, and there's our circular sequence. There's no more lines to draw, actually. We got the sequence, but we had everything already, but we didn't know that until we got the sequence. So if you remember your maths days, or if you're American math days in school, you'll remember that this is pi that we've got here. It crops up in circles. Remember that? Pi r squared, 2 pi r, the area and circumference of a circle. So there's a bit of a clue in the title that round, pi going round, circle. But there's more to it than that, because going around the outside of the puzzle, what we've got is 3.14 41592653589793238, which is the first 20 digits of pi. So we got pi going around the outside. What goes round is pi, and the puzzle solves to pi. So there we go. If you want to play with more of my puzzles, there are some on the Begriddled.com website. You can search on Amazon for Begriddled. I've got one book out at the moment, and this puzzle's going to go into the second book, which is the Begriddled Logic book. You can also find me on Twitter and Facebook, but I'm not really very good at the social media stuff. But I have put things on there, and I should do that again. So if you like this, do subscribe and give a thumbs up and everything. That'll give me a bit of a boost. Okay, that's it for today, and thank you for watching.